In Shadow of Chernobyl, hard-coded into the game are 6 vehicles, this being one of them. These are disabled, but mods can make them available. The basic vehicle mod added these to Call of Pripyat. The UAZ-469 was the best overall vehicle. This comes from Tejas Stalker on the GSC Discord. Naturally, I was interested, so I looked more into it. I knew that Shadow of Chernobyl had vehicles implemented, but I didn't know that there were 6, or how well implemented they were. I found a post that reads, "Transport was planned for the STALKER series. It was cut out, but not completely." In the last level at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, there are 2 BTR-70s. You can find them in the top right corner of the map. You can sit in it if you quickly press the F key when approaching them. I've talked with Tejas more about his screenshots and asked for more information, namely models, what 6 vehicles were present in Shadow of Chernobyl, things of that nature. He says, "I hadn't actually fooled with vehicle mods since 2010 or 2011. I'm sure they may exist somewhere. Maybe ModDB if you search around. One thing I did discover by accident, if I spawned, let's say 50 vehicles, all in the same spot and then shoot them, they would explode and fly in all directions. This screenshot was taken just seconds before one of these vans flew right at me and smacked me, killing me instantly." The same idea, spawning a bunch of UAZ-469s and shooting them from a safer distance, allowed me to create my best explosion ever. This does look fun. He goes on to say that everything was removed from the GSC forums back in 2022. That being said, he suggested a basic vehicle mod for Call of Pripyat. Well, I didn't find anything under this name per se. I sorted by images and went to ModDB, and eventually I found names. I haven't grown up on that side, so you have to forgive any misattributions for the sake of clarity and transparency. As a mod lists, probably all vehicles from STALKER except a tank and bulldozer contain BTR-70, 2 options, GAZ-52, GAZ-66, KAMAZ, 2 options, KAV-Z-685, LADA 2106, LAZ, Moskvich, Neva, RAF, Tractor T40, the UAZ, the ZAZ, the ZIL, and the MI Hind. From my humble standpoint, at least a few big names stand out, those being the ZIL, UAZ, LADA, KAMAZ, and GAZ. I could also mention the BTR and the Hinds, but I was referring more to the drivable cars themselves. Funnily enough, this isn't even actually a STALKER mod. This comes from an add-on for Gary's mod on the Steam Workshop. However, it is quite successful. It has 1100 ratings in quite the comment section. Full of bugs and "this isn't working." Not exactly the best material, but anything I found STALKER related never listed models like this, and valuably so. Nevertheless, you can sometimes find quality mods and add-ons from here. It doesn't necessarily matter where or how, because we've seen, recognize, and know these vehicles from before. The Reddit thread I found from earlier lists some console commands and controls somehow figured out in-game in order to run the BTR. A reply says something along the lines of, "Wow, if everything still works, albeit mostly as a workaround, then GSC was much closer to adding vehicles than we thought. It's a shame that they didn't. We would more than likely receive a fairly different product, with Darkscape probably being in the batch as well, as without it, vehicles are a hard sell. Just driving around in OLR 3.0 and dying a million times in Anomalies is enough to paint this picture." I searched for vehicles in STALKER, and a particularly poignant question came up. What do you think about vehicles in STALKER? The post reads, "It doesn't have to be cars. It would make sense that cars would consume more gasoline, would consume more fuel overall. I'm thinking scooters, motorbikes, even bicycles, maybe a snowmobile if you want to complete that winter mod. The top replies go. A big part of Stalker's atmosphere for me comes from the fact that everyone is on foot. They need to take long treks to get anywhere, always in danger of being jumped by mutants, bandits, or stepping into an anomaly, as well as having to make frequent stops to eat, drink, and sleep, which leaves you vulnerable. Being able to speed past areas on a motorbike would ruin this atmosphere, and the noise from the engines would disturb the eerie silence that builds a lot of the game's tension. Bringing vehicles into the zone is a terrible idea for two reasons, another reply says. Firstly, emissions wreak havoc on the electric components in modern vehicles. Electronic fuel injection, instrument panels, engine management systems, and airbags all go crazy when exposed to emissions powerful energy, usually getting fried beyond repair. The best solution is to use vehicles with carburetors and mostly mechanical drive systems. But even if you bring a vehicle into the zone, prepare for the consequences, as detailed in the second part of this entry. Worse still are the effects of anomalies. For example, if you hit a springboard anomaly at just the wrong angle, it will turn you inside out, like a sausage. Now, imagine hitting that anomaly at high speed, sealed in a metal cocoon. You may as well pre-order your fucking casket, and make sure the lid's closed for the funeral. To wrap things up, let's consider this overall. What do you think about vehicles in Stalker? Whether or not we like them, mods will always bring them back, in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just a curry favor. It's no uncommon sight to see them every now and then in whatever new mod releases. If cars were maybe less buggy, were somehow able to navigate around so many anomalies, all these dangers, if they were implementable, they would be a wonderful, useful feature, but ultimately game-breaking. As I said before, it's understandable why GSC removed them, and removed the maps associated with them. Vehicles ruin the pacing and flow of the games. But I can't help but wonder how drastically different this one change could, or would have, made it all. If there's any points I missed, glazed over, or neglected entirely, please, let me know.